They tried to move on from you, but they keep coming back. You were protected from them. That's what they're afraid of. You will always be the one who got away. You attract love, your intuition is strong, and you already know the answer. They really tried to move on. They didn't expect you to move on so easily. They were hoping that you were as stuck as they are, but your intuition told you to get away and told you to stay away. You already knew the answer to everything. When this ended, this parting of ways, they told themselves that they could come back anytime. Lied to themselves, basically. They're really good at lying to themselves. They tried to pretend they didn't do something to hurt you, but they did. They know that now. Okay. Is it over forever? Because something has recently happened to show them that they really should have treated you better. A lot of regret. I'm sorry to say, but some of them heard that you're making a lot of money, but most of them really just, they keep comparing other people to you, and the money's part of it. That may not resonate for everybody. It's okay if it doesn't, but they think that you can offer them something no one else can. They know that now because they have tried comparing you to other people. It just doesn't work. You've got something they want, okay? It's different. It's special. It's different from anything they've ever had. It's like a flavor they just can't find anywhere else. A cuisine, you know. I couldn't be what you wanted. That's what they're mad at themselves about, because they wanted to change for you. Actually, they tried to get you to change. And at one point they did try to change, but it just never worked out. They feel like they keep disappointing you, or kept disappointing you. But they were hoping you'd feel the same way. And there were times they told themselves there was an intuitive connection, like they felt you, and now they're like, wait a minute, was I wrong? What was I feeling? Like times when they were thinking about you and they thought, oh, they gotta be thinking about me too. Maybe not. You know who it is if it's for you. You know. Really cocky, arrogant about this, huh? In fact, I'm getting that you were really turned off by that. You left when I needed you. What did they need you for, though? What did they need you for? You were an alibi. An alibi and a safety net. Like, you were everything, okay? You were their excuse. You were their reasons. Way more important than they let on. And that's part of the problem, is that they were too arrogant to admit that. I am drawn to your light. I felt abandoned by you. Well, here's the funny thing. Okay, here's a funny thing. Even though they're arrogant, pretty full of themselves, deep down, they have just a very deep admiration for you. This is someone who tried to downplay everything you did. Like, if you were good at something, they had to act like they were better. Couldn't take advice from you at all. Very spoiled. They wanted you to spoil them, and when you didn't, that's when things got weird. Wanted you to let them get away with stuff. They feel like you abandoned them. I'm telling you, you were way more important than they ever let on. You were the prize. I wish I could hold you. You are too good to be true. You were dishonest. Too good to be true. You know, I see people talk about this in my comments a lot, like they don't know what this means exactly. It just means they didn't believe how good you were until they got away. That's what I mean. It's like that's why they're kicking themselves now. Upset that they didn't treat you better. But at the same time, how would they have? Like, they spent a lot of time convincing themselves that they were some kind of victim, saying that you were dishonest. Was there something you were dishonest about? If you were dishonest about something, there was a reason. Probably felt like you couldn't live up to them. So you downplayed some things about yourself that they wish you hadn't. Because they feel like they could have used some things about you that they didn't realize you were so good at, some skills you have, resources of some sort. They're like, if they had let me know, things would have been different. Obsessed. It's very quiet. If you want to talk to them, leave them a comment below, because they might see it. But if you leave comments and they don't see it, that's for the best, okay? Because I see people once in a while talk about that, like asking me if I can reach out to someone. Look, I don't want to get more involved than I am right now, because if they're meant to see your comment, they'll see it. Oh, it's real easy to see other people's comments. That's happened to me a lot. People I know in real life, and it makes me realize, okay, that person must be following me online, or not actually following me, but watching me. Because that's how things show up in your feed, because you're connected. Okay? Or sometimes it's just out of nowhere. I've had the weirdest stuff just show up on my feed out of nowhere. So, leave a comment if you want to talk to them. Well, I gotta get a different setup. I'm working on a streaming room. I just don't have it set up yet. A place where I can do all kinds of stuff. Anyway, not the one. Settling. Third party. Chose someone else. They chose a third party. Obsessed came out again. Very quiet though. You need to move on. You already have. Well, they need to, really. They're the ones who need to move on. Unless you really want them back. See, they settled for a third party, chose someone else. And that person's not the one. That's what they're thinking. That's what I mean. They're having a really rough time. Because they just thought you were going to wait. Not necessarily wait, but that the connection was so strong that when they were ready to come back around, that you'd be there. You're not there. And they feel like it makes them look bad, like publicly. And they kind of wonder if you're doing it on purpose, like you try to publicly make them look bad. Crazy. They really internalize stuff, like take things the wrong way a lot. Like it kind of always has to be about them, no matter what's going on. This is someone who will turn the attention on themselves. Yeah. Of course they don't realize they're doing it, but they have to be the center of attention. And if they're not, there's a reason. They're very manipulative about it. The floor again. Overthinking. Stuck in their head. Thoughts and emotions are tangled up, leading to overthinking. They've gone over this a bunch of different ways because they just keep getting with other people. Like this third party thing, that's not the first person that they've been with since you. They overthink it. They get in their own way with the overthinking. Because they put on one persona to everybody else. Because they're very arrogant, like I said. Grew up spoiled, maybe with some kind of financial privilege. Learned how to hide things early. They hide a lot. They're very determined for you to not learn what their true feelings are. Truthfully, they are secretly obsessed. I mean, obsessed came out twice. They'd rather die than admit it. Such pride. Overthinking, but if you talk to them, unless you're just really intuitive, which you are, that's what I mean. You might have spoken to them or seen them in person somewhere, and just got that feeling, even though they acted very aloof. Listen to the thoughts that come in your head when you're around somebody. Especially if you have somebody you haven't seen in a while. Okay? Because thoughts put out a frequency. And you have been listening to that frequency. You've been accepting it. I shouldn't say accepting it, but yeah, basically you've been absorbing that frequency. Frequencies from other people, thoughts from other people. Your whole life this has happened, okay? There's all just energy fields everywhere. You live in an energy field. So all the thoughts that come at you, like the random thoughts, the stuff that try to drag you down, they come from somewhere, or any thought, really. That's why it's good to go quiet and sort of pretend that you're exiting. Go quiet and listen to what thoughts come, because I'm telling you, you know. Mind games. They feel like you're playing mind games, but they're playing mind games. This thing where you see them and they act like they're not even upset. Come on. Friendship test. Silent resentment. It was more than a friendship test. It was just like a loyalty test. Silent resentment. You know what's funny? Is even though they've been with other people, they feel like you're being disloyal, even though you're not together. They feel like if you're with someone else, it's disloyal. And while you were together, they feel like you could have been with other people, but they didn't want to let themselves think it. They went between like stalking, looking at your phone, and then ignoring. It was really weird. Because what would happen is, and maybe you don't know this or you do, because it was done behind your back, they had sneaky ways of looking at what you were doing online. Yeah, just for their own personal benefit. They wanted to know if you were running around on them or something. Well, when they found out you weren't, then they'd get kind of ashamed or wouldn't look for a while. Then they'd get paranoid again. But it's like as high as this person puts you in their life, like on a pedestal, really, because no one really compares to you at the same time. They didn't want to let you know that. They can't let anyone think that they're better than them, if you want to call it that. Like all these things, like you are too good to be true, you'd be shocked. Unless you're really getting that. Like I said, you're hearing energies from other people. Pay attention if you're around them, or even if you just think about them. What thoughts come to your head? What spiritual lessons must you learn from this? Everything's a lesson. You don't have to do anything. What are you to learn from this? Good vibes only. Love and light. Alone but not lonely. You know, what's funny is what I'm getting from that, going back to what I said about listening to their energy, because they're trying to connect to you. And they're really disappointed because they've been trying to connect to you all this time. This person felt like you have a mental connection. Because they dream about you, they think about you. When you're around them, just tell yourself, I put out the frequency of love and light. I know this sounds crazy. I put out good vibes. Because if you're feeling their energy, they're feeling yours too. And this cancels out the negative, okay? Make it a point to put out good vibes, and because some of you might really be triggered by this person, might be angry, because this is really kind of frustrating. Someone who's like obsessed with you on one hand, but doesn't want to say, would rather die than admit how they feel about you. Put out a good frequency, like pay attention to your thoughts. Really, it's all your thoughts. That's what you're going to hear, is just like thoughts that come at you, but like the thoughts that you actually believe are yours. Because what happens is you'll have these foreign thoughts that come in. Oh yeah. Especially certain people you've had connections with. Like, I don't know if it's ever happened to you, but I've been around people who I had a thought, like, and then they said the thing I was thinking, like exactly. And it kept happening with with certain people. And at first I thought, oh, that's not true. Or sometimes it wouldn't happen immediately. Or I have a thought like they're thinking about doing this. And, you know, I'm like, oh, I kind of just sweep it under the rug in my mind, you know, sweep it to the back of my mind. And then it would happen. Anyway, pay attention. Pay attention, but don't let them siphon your frequency. I just got that. Oh, I just got a bit of an energy vampire thing. They hope that you're alone. They think you are, but alone but not lonely. They hope you're lonely. They're upset that you're not. They're upset that you haven't reached out because they thought that's how you would be. Lonely for them. They're feeling lonely for you. Again, don't act on this reading, but if you want to talk to them, or whatever you want to say to them, go ahead and leave a comment if you want. Do not underestimate the algorithms. You are a trendsetter. And you know, that's something they really admire about you. They feel like you're a very original person. In fact, they might have copied your style, copied the trends. Like, they're still doing things. There's stuff in their life that is still happening because you set the trend. You had a big impact on them. A massive impact. They're always thinking of things that you did or said. They're always hoping to run into you. And in fact, if you did see them in public, there's a good chance they wanted it that way, put it that way, okay? There's a good chance that they orchestrated that. Not stalking you, just really hoping you would be there. Like, they know that you shop at a certain grocery store, certain time of the day. They know you're going to the post office, like maybe you have to ship orders or something. Yeah. They would do anything to have that back. There's just a lot of things they're reminiscing about, but you'll always be the one who got away to them, and you were protected. Those cards came out pretty quickly. So remember that. Just ask yourself, what am I supposed to learn from this person? Because there's a lot to learn. This was a really deep connection, and they care about you a lot more than they ever wanted to admit. You are a trendsetter. It is spoken, it is written, and so it is. Amen.